I'm going to start tonight because I have three aspects, some of the issues in regard to the pretty catastrophic flooding we had in Bandon in November. In 2000, there was no location map identifying the existence of a floodplain. There was no reference in the report that the site was located on a floodplain. The only reference was that the site was in undeveloped land bordering the riverbank. That's a very nice way of talking about being on a floodplain. The observations and recommendations in the report were based on a third-party report written in 1993 on a study model done on the Bandon River, and specifically was only looking at the area between the weir and the sewage treatment works, which is about 1.5 miles from further towards Cork in a Shannon direction. The report did not examine or allow for the extensive development in the area within the previous 20 years between pre-1993. In the last 20 years in Bandon, there's been nearly 1,000 houses built and so many other developments. The two of them are completely non-related. The report also concluded that recent works in deepening the riverbed below the weir have alleviated the possible flooding problem. Now, that's a very strong statement that was submitted to the planning authority. They're basically saying that there is no possible flooding problem in regard to Bandon because of remediation works that took place. There was no description of what these works were. They were actually undertaken before 1995, but no detail was provided as to how this was going to alleviate any future potential flooding in the town. The earlier report recommended embankments or retaining walls to be constructed at several locations to prevent direct inundation. These locations were south bank upstream of the Bandon Weir, very close to where the Bandon town wall was. The 2006 report stated that this development of the supermarket supported this recommendation, and basically we're saying if you built an embankment wall anywhere west of the Bandon Weir, well then you were supporting the recommendations of the previous report. So if you built an embankment wall 10 miles in the direction towards the Manway, it was west of the weir and it would prevent flooding in Bandon. The report noted that the only effect of constructing an embankment on the south bank of the river or of filling the site to a level above the flood level was to reduce the volume of the floodplain. That was it, and that was the only reference they made to the site above the flood level. That's the only time they mentioned it. So basically, it was no impact. The report did not examine the cumulative impact of the recent adjacent development of Caulfield Supermarket on the floodplain reduction. Something in the region between the two of them of, I would say, 50 to 60,000 cubic metres of water. The report concluded that the inundation of the site does not increase the maximum flow in the river, as all waters on the site must re-enter the main channel upstream of the weir. Now that's a particularly fascinating statement, because that's the site. There's the embankment. Now how is the water supposed to get from here into here when the only way out of the site is the actual entrance, which brings you to the Garda station and the main thoroughfares in Bandon town? There is no escape mechanism for water. Other areas of the town. You have two Glashton stream here and another stream that feed in to the north side of Bandon town. That's how they look in terms of on a map, in terms of flooding, how do they contribute. There's the Glashton stream. I took that this morning before I came up to Cork. Before the floods, you had major damage to the embankment wall of that stream from development that took place, trucks backing into it and driving off, and nobody ensuring that it was fixed or repaired. You have bridges like this that the stream passes through, and on the night of the 19th, that's what you had. Now, this here is the actual, it's a road, and this bank wall here will be part of it. As it goes underneath the bridge, it feeds into Bandon River itself. You've got an awful lot of deposition in the river itself. You've got a staff gauge here, which is interesting, next to the bridge, because the water level was up to here. Now the staff gauge is here, so the water, you couldn't actually record a water level because it's not on the staff gauge, it's off. It's actually outside of measurement range. So the water level was up to here on the night that I was walking through Bandon. This is during the day in which I observed it around 4 o'clock. It couldn't get through the bridge itself. It burst the banks. A lot of these businesses like this restaurant are closed and are not reopening. This is where the water has to escape. Under a series of these bridges, where there has been an awful lot of accumulation of material and reducing the actual available flow of water that can flow through that bridge into the Bandon River. This is where it comes in. You have serious deposition here, here, and over here, which is affecting flow. That's what the bridge would look like from a distance. You have entire arches of it that are unusable. And this is today, again, like this has been like this for months. Here it is. Where's the water supposed to flow? This is what the water level was like in Bandon on the 19th. It was over the arches that you see here. It's amazing that the bridge itself withstood the flow and the pressure that was put on it. You've got major deposition of solids and aggregate upwards of it. You've got pipes here where the water level was above this, and there's no valves to prevent water flowing up those pipes. This is about 3 days after the floods in Bandon. This is during the floods. Look at the volume of water you're talking about. That's a wide river. There's people walking across on a pedestrian bridge that could give way at any minute, and nobody paying any heed to it. That's it at night. It's actually flowing over the pedestrian bridge. That's it during the day. This actually was built in an area that's called in the OS maps as Watery Lane. It's very interesting. You can see the bridge here, it's submerged. So that's that part of the presentation. When